Now, you may remember the only EB01 tournament that was broadcasted in Japan, the Japan Nationals, was won by Uta. We did the commentary of that channel, and it was awesome to see a deck like Uta progress and win the finals. But it got me thinking with playing it here in the West. Uta is the only deck in EB01 format that hasn't been fully explored. And the reasoning format is the legality of the promo cards, right? And especially because I don't think the Uta promos were ever legal in Japan because they were distributed by going to see the movie. It got me thinking, like, Uta won Japan Nationals, right? So it's not a bad deck. Theoretically, with access to more cards, it's gotta be better, right? And so I went ahead and I typed up and messaged my friend Miko as part of Las Vegas and was like, hey, we should play. And he's like, okay, what deck should I bring? And so we decided to bring in, against the Uta, Purple Yellow Croc, a deck that a lot of people, including myself, are excited about to see an EB01 with the release of several of the Baroque Works cards. It's a matchup that we have no idea how it's going to go. What ended up happening, though, is I completely reshifted my focus in this video because this was some of the most fun I've ever had playing in the One Piece trading card game. Let me just say this right now. We are picking up these decks for the first time and are playing them. Do not expect this play to be absolutely perfect. I will do my usual commentary over the games and talk about maybe some of the mistakes that him and I make in the game, or potential errors that happen, or things that you should note that maybe we didn't think about. So please, if you go typing in the comments, please just be constructive. Thank you so much to Dueling Guard for sending me these sleeves in the video to utilize. I've been testing out these sleeves. They want me to send them some feedback, and if you want, you can actually buy the sleeves on their website. I think they're great for just testing and also retro decks. I wouldn't bring them to a tournament because they're a little bit see-through, but they're some of the best sleeves that I've ever shuffled with, in my personal honest opinion. So I would get them for retro decks and stuff, and hopefully I think there may be some more sleeves in the future by them. But anyways, use code Jake5 for 5% off. Let's get into the match. All right, moving into this game. I am so excited to show you all this game. These two games, actually, we actually had so much fun that in the middle, we did this like in between rounds of a local tournament, and I was in the tournament. Miko, the player on the right, was not, just because, like, you know, he got in late from work and stuff. But I had so much fun in this first game that I was like, I'm dropping from the tournament. My record doesn't matter. All I want to do is just keep playing this insanely weird matchup. This was so cool, mostly because I've never really seen Purple Yellow Croc, right? In the West, at least, it's not really something that has seen any play for the most part, especially at some of the higher levels. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm excited. Reminder that Purple Yellow Croc is a purple yellow leader for life. When you return Dawn from your field to your Dawn deck through one of your effects, add one Dawn from your Dawn deck as active, and that's a once per turn opponent's turn type of thing. That's very cool to know. And then Uta, reminder, is Dawn ×1 when attacking once per turn. When you swing, reveal the top card. If it's a film type card, add it to your hand, put the rest at the bottom of the deck. And so going in now in this one, it looks like I keep the hand. Miko decides to mulligan. The Purple Yellow Croc deck, we'll show both of the deck lists before the end of the video, I promise, but the Purple Yellow Croc deck is definitely a mix of cards. You've got like Big Mom Pirate cards, as a lot of people would think. You got some Baroque Works as well. So really, really cool mix of stuff going on, especially with the additions of Bond Clay and some other stuff. Just really, really fun. So I'm going to start out playing a New Genesis. New Genesis, a great card overall. And there's one of the promos that I was talking about, but I'll grab a Sanji overall, one of my proxy Sanjis. For anyone who doesn't know, Sanji, a really, really good new 2K body that is searchable, and you see right there, just beautiful with the New Genesis to build up the hand. And so Miko's actually going to draw pass. He's not going to do anything on this turn. No Miss Valentine to play down overall. So I'm going to be thinking about what I want to do, and I think I'm just going to go Uta with the lead, find a Nami, just do an 8K. I don't really have anything that I want to put down, and I kind of want to build my hand a little bit more. So I decide, you know what, try to get the life. So now the Croc life is at 3, and so he's going to start off with a swing, and I'm going to use my beautiful 2K and then go ahead and play Miss Wednesday. The Miss Wednesday, beautiful blocker, really a new blocker that really propels this deck overall. We talked about it in the EB01 reveals video that we did on the channel. So I'm going to start off with another effect, and we decided that the Uta effect on the swing is going to go first. I'm going to pick up a Bleno, and then he's going to go ahead and use the effects. So that's a really interesting sequence that he just did right there. So I'm going to read the sequence so then you all are able to understand, because at first I was like, oh my god, what just happened? So whenever he does that effect where he's pointing at the Miss Wednesday proxy and also the purple yellow Crocodile, Miss Wednesday is a blocker on opponent's attacks once per turn. So you can do this at any point when your opponent announces an attack. Dawn -1, if your leader type includes Baroque Works, which is our purple yellow Crocodile, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So effectively, when he has a Miss Wednesday out, every single turn that I swing, every single turn that I have a swing, he is going to Dawn +2. He's going to Dawn -1 through the Miss Wednesday, then she's going to be able to bring 1 back as active, but also because we put Dawn back in our Dawn deck, the leader Crocodile is also going to put 1 as active. So effectively +1 Dawning, just because he played this leader on, or I'm sorry, this blocker Miss Wednesday on curve. Such a crazy combo, and now has 2 Dawn up overall. So he's actually going to be taking that one as well, and he's going to quickly go down to 2 life, and I'm going to go ahead and play Nami to be able to look at the top 3 and try to find a character, a film character to play on in the next turn. I'm going to grab a Brook. So the Brook is going to be really nice in the next turn to play down that Uta, start putting down more and more bodies. So he's just going to go ahead and swing 5 right here, and I'm actually going to take it. I say, you know what, you're at 2 life, I'm going to take this, and he's going to play that 7 drop Linlin, and I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to say, you know what, you've kind of been taking life, maybe you have some dead cards or something like that, and I really don't want to be taking too much life at this point, so I'm going to let you have that one. So moving into my turn now, I have a Where the Wind Blows promo, so we've seen both of the promos so far. I bailed out on Fleeting Lullaby, but starting out with a 5K swing, I'm going to be doing the searching. I'm going to opt, I think, for New Genesis. I feel like I want a little bit more card in my hand in terms of characters that I can utilize, and there goes back to 2 Dawn, ramping another one, right? Because every time he does this combo, he ramps a Dawn, and so I forgot to actually add 3 to the life, so it's going to be back at 2 now, and I'm going to go play New Genesis. New Genesis, going to be fighting a Luffy. That's kind of what I want to see at this point with this hand. So unfortunately, I'm only at 6 Dawn now, so I can't play that Luffy. I got to think of what else I want to do. So I'm thinking about playing the Brook into the Uta, but first doing that Uta swing to take a life, putting him down at 1 life now at this point. He's contemplating a trigger, but nothing there, and so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play that Brook, which allows me to play a 3 cost or less character from hand, and I was thinking about either doing Usopp or the Uta, but I opted for the Uta because I'm actually going to pitch Where the Wind Blows to stand the Nami. I say, you know what, I kind of want the Nami because I'm starting to get a little bit of non-counter in my hand, and here we are, turn 4, right? Usually what would be an 8 Dawn turn for the player on the right, the Crocodile, Miko is now at 10 Dawn. He's at a full 10 Dawn at this point. Very, very strong showcasing of this deck. So he's going to attach 1 and swing 6. In that 6, I'm just going to use a 2K chopper counter. He's going to swing with the Linlin to take one, and then play the Yamato. The Yamato is a great card to be able to take that Nami. There was 4 life combined before he got 1 life back. I'm keeping track of the life like in real time as we're recording, and I'm realizing how hard it is based on how fast we play. Trying a new editing style where I'm showcasing the card and like counting life and stuff, especially with these sleeves, maybe a little bit too difficult to see on camera, but going to be swinging just a raw 5 right there, and only 1 lead effect because he has no Dawn in his Dawn deck, and he's going to just be countering out the beige. And so there goes the Brook swinging again right there for a little bit of poke damage. And he's actually thinking about taking this one, and he is. The thing about yellow, though, is he's half yellow, so he's got a lot of triggers at his disposal, especially because a lot of his purple cards also have that trigger. So I'm going to be playing the Luffy. That's what that card is called. And then the Luffy is going to go into the Zoro. The other 2 Dawn that I had left, I went ahead and played the Bleno right there. Another really, really good blocker in this deck. A great addition overall. So going to start out thinking about where they want to go on this one. They're going to attach one and swing 6 into the Brook. Say, you know what, Brook, maybe want to take that guy out, start clearing the bodies a little bit. And I'm going to say yes. You know, I'm able to paste bodies on the floor a ton, and he's just going to go back up to 2 life overall, and then I'm going to go back down to 2. So now we're even overall, and I've lost a couple bodies on the field, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these big bodies are piling up right now. So lots of cards in hand for both of us. I think we both have over 10 cards in hand at this point in the game because of the draw. So I'm thinking where I want to go. I don't remember if I have a kid at this point in my hand right now. I think maybe that's that proxy that I do have. Just thinking about what the best play is overall, what can get me the most damage, and going to be swinging 6 and revealing the I'm Invincible, a good card at the end of the game as he uses a 2K Capone counter. But I've started to gather several in my hand, and so I'm going to be playing that kid, and that kid proxy with the attachment is going to put down an Uta blocker, and I go ahead and say pass. Kid really tough in this situation because they have so many big bodies on the board, right? The kid is great for when they have smaller bodies, like in the Enel matchup, you know, where they have Gadatsus and Ohm Hollies on the board, right? But in this one, it's a little bit different and makes me really wonder if I should have put that on, because these are 9K, 8K bodies already that are matching my kid on the other side of the field. So they're going to be getting a little bit every single time. But he ends up playing that Katakuri, which I don't have a button for that, so I'll do that in post editing to put my kid at the bottom of the deck. Say, you know what, I want to swing into your life here. So I do go up to 3, but at what cost do I get to do that? I'm going to start by swinging 7 at me. Going to be forcing 2 cards or a life, and so I'm actually thinking, you know what, I'm going to take this life overall, and I'm actually got a game plan right now of taking a lot of life in this one, kind of like trying to draw the kid back again. I got 3 blockers on field, so like I can start blocking attacks if I really want to at this point. And I'm going to go down to 1 at this point. A lot of my hand at this point, though, is non-counter, I do remember. So honestly, several of these swings I can't even stop anyways, to be honest. You see a lot of non-counter card in that hand. I think I only have like 4K counter in total. So I'm going to be taking that kid. I'm going to be going down to a scary 0 and then blocking that other swing, but it's the price that I have to pay at this point in the game. So going to be looking around at what I can do. I think I drew a Bleno off of that top deck, so I've got a Kid Bleno combo to get another blocker and kind of just like stall out, like do a little bit of poke damage and potentially hit for the I'm Invincibles if I can just survive overall. So He's thinking about when exactly to do this effect. He does get a Dawn up right there off of the effect through the Miss Wednesday purple croc combo. He's actually just going to be countering out right there. I can't remember what that counter card was, but it was enough counter. And I'm going to be playing the kid. So the kid is going to come down and play the Nami. I opt for a little bit of search, and I'm sitting here wondering, I'm like, oh man, I think I grabbed the Zoro instead of the new Genesis, because I'm like, I need a little bit of counter cards in my hand. I really, really wanted to grab the new Genesis. I don't know if that was the correct play or not overall, or if it really mattered in the long run, but I knew he was going to swing all of these bodies. He's got 4 of these gigantic bodies in my way, ready to swing at the kid. And I look at it, he asked me, and like, how many cards do you have? And he's like, I've got like 13. I've got like 14 cards in hand. So just a ton of cards in hand again. But I think the difference is I haven't really been able to chip as many cards out of his hand because he constantly has been taking and replenishing life. It's really interesting in this how much I allowed him to consistently get cards in hand, but he didn't really play bodies down for me to really think about swinging at for the most part, I feel like. But I think maybe if I had played this a little bit differently after today, like if I played tomorrow, for instance, I probably would have done a little bit more board control swinging at body. I gotta look at how the Uta that won Japan played out the game. So going to be looking around and trying to figure out what they're going to do in this one with all 10 done, because they have to get rid of the kid, right? If they get rid of the kid, they can go ahead and start swinging at life for game. So going to be swinging 10, I believe that is, at the kid. Going to be forcing 2 cards from me now at a time. So I'm going to give him a chopper and another card. I think the Zoro, and another 10 comes down. I think I'm going to give him a Sanji and something else. Sanji and, well, that might have been Zoro. Either way, I gave him 2K and 1K counters, and so this one I'm going to block on that one. Going to be swinging another 10, potentially just redistributing the Dawn as best as possible. And this may seem good on surface as he swings 10 again, but on the downside, all of my counter is gone in my hand. Only 4 Dawn left. It's going to be playing in Okiku and going to be playing it over that Big Mom, and I don't hate that play overall because you want the Miss Wednesday out against this deck. So the Okiku is going to come down overall, and honestly on KO also give him a life because of that on KO effect. So insane play. So I'm thinking about what I want to do now. I'm like, man, I don't think I survive at this point with another set of swings. So with the 4 I'm Invincibles in hand and the 2 life, I'm really considering at this point, I'm like, maybe I should just go for game right now. It's really difficult to think about what I want to do, and I'm going to start out by swinging a little bit of poke damage 5, just sees what he does. First, he's going to be using that effect to get one of the Dawn out, and it looks like he's thinking about countering out with just 1. You like to see that when you're potentially going for game, and it's a 2K counter as well. So the 2K counter is really nice to be able to see when you're only swinging 5 overall. So I'm going to attach 3, swing 8, and grab a Monkey D. Luffy, a non-counter card. I'm like, man, I think I only have 1 counter card in my hand, but he's going to be taking this life, and it's going to be an Okiku trigger. So he's thinking about what he like wants to do. Honestly, I think with this board state, playing over the Miss Wednesday, I don't know, like, overall if I would do that. And I'm like, wait a minute, are you sure? But he's like, look at my board, man. You know, like, I love playing against Miko. So how much Dawn do I have left? 7 Dawn left overall in this one. I've left 7 open because 1 for the kid, because I'm like, okay, I could do something with the kids. So I'm going to be swinging 8 again off of the I'm Invincible. Just a crazy card overall in this one, and he's going to be taking this life as well. And this also looks like it's going to be a trigger, but what exactly is it? It might be another Okiku. I wasn't able to tell on that one what it was. And I'm going to just play another I'm Invincible. I'm going to go for that right there and then end it with a 9K swing by Kid. And there's going to be 2K counters as I go ahead and swing for 9. So one of the crazy cards that he's able to do right there, which was absolutely insane for anybody who maybe didn't miss that play right there. He played down this new card in EB01 called Okama Way. It's an event card, counter Dawn -1, costs 1 event. So especially with the Miss Wednesday proc, going to be able to always use this. If your leader has Baroque Works and its type, choose one of your characters. It becomes the target of the attack. And so he redirected the attack to the Okiku, which the Okiku took the 9K swing, got KO'd, and since I'm at 3 life or less, gained a life off of that. So an insane combo, really just showcasing the strength of this deck. And that, I mean, that in itself was just insane to me. And so then I say, all right, pass the turn and then go for it. He's got all of these huge bodies. Accidentally knocks down his deck, but I'm like, you know what, I think it's game right now. Look at these swings that you got going on. And so I've got a lot of cards in hand, thankfully for me, so trying to bait him maybe to go a little bit for board. But I mean, even with all of these cards in hand, I still don't think you go for game at this point. So I mean, we're talking about it a little bit because we're just playing a fun game overall, and he's like saying like, man, do I go for board or go for game? And I'm like, look at all these bodies that you have, like just go for game, man. Like I truly think just going for game right here is the best option at this point. So he's thinking about how to redistribute his Dawn. He's asked me how many 2Ks I've used in my deck, and I've seen 4 so far, just 2 Sanjis and 2 Choppers, I think, overall. We also play some of the Dracula Mihawks of 2K counters, so haven't seen that, so got to be thinking about how many of those potentially I play. But with 8 cards in hand, he's like, man, I got so many cards last turn. How do you still have 8 cards? Unfortunately, they're like all non-counter cards. So going to start off swinging 10 at the Kid and looking at my hand, trying to think about what I'm going to do. And I'm like, yeah, I got to take it. And so he's just going to attach the rest of the Dawn and swing a bunch. And I'm going to show him that I have no counter in hand. And he's like, man, you had all 4 I'm Invincibles. And I did. I was definitely going to be using those if I somehow escaped from that turn. And he reveals the Miss Valentine. So really just showcasing the insane combos with this deck. That game itself was so fun. And I'm sure, like I said earlier, that I did not play that perfectly, right? I've never seen the purple yellow Croc in action, and especially with the EB01 cards, a lot of crazy things. I loved the redirect on the Okama Way, especially because you're always, if you get the Miss Wednesday early, you're always able to at least feint the potential Okama Way. So really, really cool stuff out of this deck. I really loved it, and I can't wait to go to this game 2 as well, because I think game 2 was also a pretty cool game. All right, so gonna be going into this next game. I've reset the life. We're shuffling it up and whatnot. I am so excited about these games. This game, I mean, to be honest, like, I don't know if it was just the venture into the quote-unquote unknown, right? Because I told you, like, I had this idea for the video on Uta, but then it became like this insane set of games showcasing this deck at a crazy level. It just makes me really excited about, you know, the future of the game and stuff, and playing these games. And I'm having a lot of fun in OP06 right now, but this was just some of the more fun that I've had in the game, just playing decks like this. So definitely expect to see more in the future. So I'm going to keep this hand, and I just want to say for the record right now, looking at this, you probably can't tell exactly what this looks like. These are 2 Eustace Captain Kids. This is 1 Bleno. This is a Dracula Mihawk, and I believe this is like an Usopp right here or something. I decided to keep this hand because of the Eustace Captain Kid. I saw how strong it could be at certain points against this deck, but maybe in this matchup specifically when they can ramp, maybe it's not as good as I'm thinking thinking, but the reason that I kept this hand that overall I think would be bad is because I have 2 kids and I have no way to search for the kids. They're just natural draws if I can get them. So I decide to opt to keep for it. Let me know down in the comments whether you would have kept that hand or not. I think looking back on it, maybe I probably would have mulliganed on another hand just because, like, you know, like I said, like, they ramp so fast if they find Miss Wednesday. Like, you literally, Miko was telling me after the game, he's like, I think you mulligan for a Miss Wednesday in the game. So it's just so crazy what this deck was able to do against me, and I'm excited to show you this second one as he makes sure that his top of the life is what usually his top is in the game. So go ahead, and we just switched the first and second overall just to showcase, and so I'm going second in this one, and we're just going to do the old Passaroonies. I did get to +1 card though, and so 3 Dawn. Now he is just going to be swinging a 5, leaving 3 Dawn open. I am going to be taking this one. I do want some cards in my hand, and he's going to be playing that Miss Wednesday, as I mentioned, to start getting his wombo combos off and going. Gonna be tricky, and I'm gonna just swing with the Uta, reveal a Luffy, so that's nice overall. At least at this point I could be able to play, but one of the things that I'm worried about is I'm not sure when to play Luffy over Kid, but he's going to be taking that one as well, and I'm going to be resting 3 Dawn, and I'm just going to be playing the Mihawk, which I know you're going to yell at me. I'm actually not going to be playing the Mihawk because I've realized that the Usopp is not a slash character, it's a strike character, so I'm just gonna play the Usopp instead. Again, we're just playing for fun, so just trying to learn these cards. I haven't played a ton of Uta since Starter Deck 12 came out with the Mihawks. I've just played it a little bit, so usually I have the Zoro or Brook or something in hand, but unfortunately there I did not and thought I could. But Usopp is I still got to put out some bodies. So, and I'm sitting here like, oh my god, you're at 6 Dawn already, and so he's going to be swinging with 5 and doing a little bit of poke damage. We'll see what I do right here. There's a chance that I actually take it just because, again, like, not seeing a ton of cards that really I want overall. And he's actually going to be playing the new Bond Clay, so I don't have a button for Bond Clay, surprisingly. Bond Clay is going to be insane as he also plays down the Brûlée. The Brûlée, a nice blocker, Big Mom Pirate blocker that we've seen through time with Katakuri decks. And so the Bond Clay is very interesting on how we do this, but going to be a little bit annoying as it does ramp 1. Reminder that Bond Clay, when on play, ramps 1 Dawn as active, and then when attacking, it copies one of your opponent's characters. So I'm going to start out doing a little bit of poke damage, swinging 6, and it's going to bring up his 2 Dawn and ramp once again, and I think he's got a counter out, but he's going to be taking a life overall instead. I'm going to attach to get a Luffy, and he's going to block with that Brûlée real quick, and now I'm going to play the Mihawk. Put the Mihawk down so then I can have the Zoro on the field because I had 2 or less characters before I played the Mihawk, so I did get that extra effect on that on play ability. So now at all 10 Dawn, Miko's already once again 2nd game in a row at all 10 Dawn. Just insane that he's able to do that, and so going to be counting up what he exactly wants to do at this point. Going to be attaching a Dawn somewhere. Going to be at the Bond Clay. So he's going to be swinging the Bond Clay. He's going to be copying the Zoro, and with the Bond Clay specifically, how it reads, it's going to say on there, when attacking, choose up to one of your opponent's characters. This character has the same base power as the character chosen for the turn. So when we were doing this, and actually let me look at like an official translation real quick, because I'm just looking at One Piece top decks, and if you're a longtime member of the channel, you know how I was wrong about Okiku for like 3 months. So here's something I think we did wrong that doesn't really matter that much because there's not too many instances where this comes up overall. So one thing that we did is we actually had this Bond Clay character swinging 8. And you may be wondering how 8 comes up, but I don't know if it was, I don't know who told Miko or something, but Miko was sure that the Bond Clay gets the 1000 from its original base power plus the base power that it copies to make it 7000, and then attaching 1 Dawn for 8. I don't actually think that that's correct overall, because it says like choose up to one of your opponent's characters. This character has the same base power as the chosen character for this turn, so I think it should be a 7k swing, but just for transparency I am going to counter out as if it's 8 or let it die. But I think overall, I think it just copies when attacking the original base power, unless I'm missing something, which could totally be true. So let me know if it should be 7 or 8 there. I think it's just 7 overall on that swing, but again, we're just playing for fun, just 2 guys having a good time, no stakes or anything like that, just trying to showcase some of the games. So now swinging 7 with the Croc, I'm going to be opting to save that one because I want to keep bodies on the field at this point. It's been tough for me to keep bodies on the field, and now he's going to be playing the Lin, so I give that one to him. He goes back up to 3 life, and we're 3 life apiece at that point. So now the Bond Clay goes back to a 1000 power character, so that's going to be easy to knock out for me overall, just with like the Mihawk or something. He's got 2 blockers though, so like it could be a little tricky actually, like swinging, because how much value do you get off of all the blockers? But I'm actually just going to be swinging at the Bond Clay with everything that I have, even if it takes all 3 swings. If he blocks both of them, I'm just going to be taking them out overall. So he's going to be doing his thing to get that 1 Dawn up. I think you do that every single time. And he's just going to be letting that one go, potentially. He's thinking about if there's value with Miss Wednesday. And I think there might actually be value with the Miss Wednesday, because you don't have any more Dawn that you want to ramp, right? He doesn't have any super aggressive like Dawn minusing cards like the 10-drop Luffy or anything like that. But is just going to be taking that life off of that swing, thinking about a trigger, and it's an Okiku because I'm at 3 freaking life. So he gets to play that card. And so I'm going to be playing down a Luffy. I'm going to get down the Wombo combo overall on that, but I'm not going to get any Wombo combo. I'm literally just playing a Luffy because I don't have any good characters that I want to put down on the field right next to him. And I'm trying to think, like, is it worth with the Luffy putting down the Sanji overall? Because the Sanji, if you do not know, is a 4 cost. And so especially with me having trouble putting bodies on the field overall in the game, like my pace of bodies has not been the usual Uta strong at this point. I really consider it, I'm like, you know, maybe I should actually play this Sanji, especially with the 7s and the 8 turns right. He's gonna get a 2k power boost from, you know, me resting Dawn, because if you do not know, I'll pull up the Sanji here. The new Sanji from EB01, Dawn times 1 your turn. For every 3 rested Dawn on your field, this character gains 1000 powers. So the thing about this though that's a little bit tricky, and I'm gonna potentially struggle with in this game, I have to keep in mind, is that attached Dawn is not rested Dawn, right? So it's got to be really effective if I'm, you know, resting Dawn, but also I have to attach 1 Dawn to this character. So that's going to be something that you'll see later that is super interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and play him down. I'm like, you know what? Again, I got to be pacing bodies right here soon. I know that the big bodies are going to keep coming and being stringed at me. So the Mihawk and the Usopp are probably not going to cut it in that. So really just thinking about if that's worth it or not. Again, lots of kids in hand, probably going to be playing the next couple turns, and so I think I'm just going to keep him in. I'm going to say, you know what, yeah, let's try it. We ball, you know. It is just a fun game overall, and so going to now be going into Miko's turn officially. And so Miko's going to be resting a couple and playing the Miss All Sunday. So the Miss All Sunday, we haven't seen this game, but it at least gets him to draw a card. He doesn't get to ramp at all, but he gets to put a card in his hand, and it's a 5k body to respond at these characters. He could probably, if he wanted to, just swing at life instead of these characters, but he's going to be going for my board a bit with the Mihawk. So I'm going to be countering out right there. I think that's going to be a Sanji counter overall, so that's going to be a 6 over. And then what did he just do to KO that? Oh, I think I know what happened. I think I remember what happened. So it was at this point in the game that like my brain is just fried right now at this point. So what I say is I'm thinking about just letting him go, but I also think about like, oh, I can use a 2k if I wanted to save him, this Sanji. So I think I verbally say like he's not worth saving, but also counter out with the Sanji right there. And then they're like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, wait, yeah, I'm gonna let him go. And so then like I let him go. Like I said letting him get killed, but then put out the Sanji. So again, just having some fun, just playing, you know, with these cards. And so going to now be swinging a 7 at the Usopp. Going to be forcing at least 2 cards for me if I want to save this Usopp. And I do have that 2k counter in hand, but I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to save him. And that 9 or that 8k swing right there is going to hit. And so I get a Where the Wind Blows. That does have a trigger, but not one that's worth it in this one. The Where the Wind Blows trigger is essentially the same as the main effect. And he's going to play another Okiku and pass. Say, you know what? I'm going to put all these Okikus down on board. You're not going to be over 3 life again. And I'm just going to keep getting these effects. So I'm going to attach 1 and swing 6. And I'm like, man, do I just clear bodies at this point? Like, you're going to gain a life, but I can't let you swing so much in the turn. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and swing at the Okiku and reveal and Usopp to put in my hand. And so he's going to be letting it go and gaining a life. I think that's a smart play overall. Like, you have another Okiku, you've got the Miss All Sunday on field. Like, go ahead and just let that die gain your life. So I'm going to go ahead and play that kid, and then the 1 Don left over, I'm going to use the kid effect to play down a 3 cost or less character from my hand, and it's going to be the Bleno blocker. So getting another blocker on field to stop some of these swings, and then swing with the Sanji. And this is where I've realized that, oh my gosh, I don't have any Dawn on my Sanji, and I was like, oh no, so it'll just be a 5k swing. It still takes the life anyways, but feels really bad, because remember, to get that extra Sanji effect, what I forgot is that I should have attached 1 Dawn. So another misplay, put a misplay on the misplay counter there, and we go into the Croc's turn now. So the board is interesting so far at this point. There's only 1 big body down, thankfully, on my opponent's side of the field. He's going to be swinging 10 at the kid right here, and so I'm going to be thinking about what I want to do to get out of this. I've got some blockers, and I think I'm just going to do the Bleno blocker. I don't think that's a bad idea. And he's going to be playing a card that I didn't see the last time. It's going to be that Crocodile. So that Crocodile is crazy. So let me tell you about this card. The OP04 Croc here on play, Dawn -2, and especially with the Miss Wednesday, he's going to be able to get that Dawn back. So this is an interesting situation. If your leader type includes Baroque Works, which it does, place the top 1 card from the top of your deck on top of your life. So Crocodile now getting up to 3 life, and then on opponent's attack, or when opponent attacks once per turn, Dawn -1, draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. So doing a filter effect. Just going to be really, really good in this game. But overall, my kid lives. So that's going to be really nice to see. And I think I like this play more from Miko and Purple Yellow Croc, because, like, okay, you may not have gotten kid this turn, but your bodies are stacking up. The Crocodile is a 9k body over there that just got played. So it's going to be able to battle the kid just like the Yamato was. So really crazy again to see how many different big bodies this deck can play to gain a life. I think there's like 4 different ones in this list, and so I'm going to start out by swinging the 5 at lead, and he's going to be using the Croc character effect to draw 1, trash 1 in this one. And I'm about to swing, but he's like, wait, I got to trash 1. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I was too eager. And so he's going to be trashing, I think, a Blanc Clay secret rare, does have 1k counter, and then use lead effect to get 1 done, but then also, because of opponent's attack, use the Miss Wednesday effect to get another Dawn to go back to 2 and then take that life overall. The sequencing in this deck is insane, and I'm just going to swing a 5 here, and this will be apparent here soon. Going to be another Blanc Clay counter. I'll swing the kid to be able to go to 9, and I think I'm actually going to go with the Charlotte Linlin. I think, like, okay, maybe I should start clearing these bodies after getting a little bit of life, and so he's going to be thinking about the Dawn. And so here's another Okama Way that's going to be coming down, and it's going to be again directed at that Okiku to then gain a life. Okama Way in this deck is insane. We were trying to figure out what the best card is as I play another kid and rest it to play that Usopp there. We were trying to think about after this series, like, what the best card is in this deck, and Miko was saying, like, the best card is probably either Miss Wednesday or Okama Way. Just the flexibility that it provides you in this game. Okiku and Okama Way being in the same deck is absolutely crazy. So really insane showcase so far. But now I have 2 kids on the field that each have 1 Dawn overall. So that's going to be some bodies that he's going to have to clear before he goes in for the attack. And it's still relatively early in his big bodies, but going to start out by swinging 11 potentially, or just a 9. I think I'd rather him swing 9 because then I get a 2k, and I've got so many cards in hand, and so does he. We each have so many that I would rather him swing 9, so then I can just use like 2k chopper or something, a nice 2k counter, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So he's going to swing 10 now at this one, going to be forcing 2 cards now at this point. So I'm trying to think, like, with the rest of his Dawn, what could he do if I let this kid go? And so going to be blocking off that one. I say, you know what, the 7k blocker is not as strong as the 7k body, but he's going to be picking another Linlin, so I'm going to give the life to him. He's going to go up to 4 life. 4 life, absolutely crazy, but I got 2 kids down. So if you don't remember, and this is something that I'm going to really think about, and I'm not sure what the correct decision was on this play, I have 2 kids on the field, and I have the potential to put down a 3rd kid on the field. Now, I don't, spoiler alert, I don't put down the 3rd kid on the field, but part of me wonders if putting down the kid was the correct play in this one. So let me know if you would have played a 3rd kid down at this point. I know that, like, Katakuri is always an option for this deck after seeing it in the first game, so I'm not 100% sure where I should navigate at this point. But his hand is getting a little bit small. He only has like 6 cards in hand, only 6 overall in this one. So now I'm just kind of navigating, like, where I want my Dawn to be, what my options are. Like, if I want to play down a character, I want to have the Dawn attached to the kids after they swing, and so thinking really hard about where I want to be at this point. 10 Dawn overall. I've got, like, the I'm Invincibles in hand and stuff, but I don't know if it's worth trying to swing right now at this point. So the thing is also that I've realized with this deck is with 3 kids, I can't in the same turn attach a Dawn to all these kids and play another one, right? Because that eventually costs 11 Dawn. Right now, I could play another kid, but the other 2 Dawn would have to go right here, and this one would just have to stay active, which maybe isn't the worst thing in the world because it does keep up the pace of bodies. So maybe it was just worth playing overall. I'm not 100% sure. at this point. But we're gonna go into this, continue on, because it has been a long 2-game set so far. So I'm gonna be attaching one to the Usopp, and this is something that I say overall is it's just a big misplay. Like, I should have never attached this Dawn to the Usopp. The Dawn should always go to either the Uta or the Sanji. This is brain fry right now. So I'm going to be swinging 6 now, and he's like, oh, are you sure? And so he's going to be looking at the life, and it's going to be a Capone Beijing. And so the Beijing is going to say, you know what? All right, you can't swing with that guy, but I can still rest him through his effects. So not all is lost, but a little bit is lost overall in the game. So here's where I'm saying, like, I should have never put that Dawn there. But he took the life, so we're not going to do like any takebacks or anything like that. So I don't worry too much about it, but it is a kind of a lost opportunity, in my opinion, to be able to showcase the Sanji because of that Dawn effect. So thinking about what I want to do now at this point, I think I'm thinking about playing a Luffy blocker at this point and leaving the 7 Dawn open. And so that 9k swing right there is going to be swinging. I don't know whether it's at... Oh, that's the one that got hit with the Beijing. So I'm just resting that one to rest it overall. And so now I'm going to be swinging just a raw 5. I'm not going to be attaching that one Dawn because I'm going to put it on that other kid. He's going to use the Wednesday effect to get the 2 Dawn, right? Because he did the Dawn minusing stuff. So, and he's also going to be filtering a card, draw 1, trash 1. So there's 3 effects right there in that wombo combo. Just absolutely insane. And I think he countered out with a Katakuri overall, I think was that proxy, just a non-counter card. And so going to be taking that life, going back to 2, potentially another trigger, and he's going to put it in hand though. And so now I'm going to be swinging 9. I'm going to be swinging at the Lin. I should have probably, if I wanted to swing at the Lin, swing first before the life. I don't know if it would have mattered, but I'm going to be swinging just a regular 5 now and trying to get another life. And again, explaining like I should have put that Dawn on the Sanji so then it could be an 8k swing, but I will get a life off of that. So not all was lost, I guess. Going to be playing the Luffy now, and just the Luffy, not going to be putting anything else down on the field at this point. Nothing I really want to play off of the Luffy effect. And so going to be moving into his turn, drawing for turn. Still 2 kids on the field and only 1 blocker though. That's going to be the big note. So just going to be swinging a regular 8 right now. I just need a 1k counter to get out of it. And so thinking about if I should block or trash card, I end up blocking there, and you may be wondering why. I don't have a lot of counter in hand. Again, this deck, I have found as he's doing all these swings, there's not a lot. Like, you get put in a position in the game where you just don't have any counter cards overall. So absolutely crazy. Going to be playing down a Yamato and gaining another life overall. So gonna be at 2 life yet again as my Usopp gets KO'd because of our life total being at 3 at that point. So I've got these bodies up, which could be nice, but I'm thinking right now, like, this is the point of the game where I'm like, okay, I think I have to swing for game at this point because I don't know if I can survive. I have like no counter cards in hand, right? He's going to use some of these bodies to knock out my my kids. I think I have to go for game at this point. I don't think there's any other choice. I've got 2 I'm Invincibles in hand. So here could be a perfect time to be able to do that. So I'm trying to throw out my Dawn best as I can. And I put 2 Dawn on the kids, 1 each, because like, okay, if I have any shot, if I don't get game to survive, it's going to be because of these kids. So I attach 1 to the Uta and do a Sanji reveal and put in hand, mostly because I just wanted to test the waters a little bit on this swing. And so he's going to be using the effect to draw and discard, and doing all of this to go to 3 Dawn overall, which is insane. And so now he's going to be countering out of this swing, and it's going to be a 2k Mr. Friday or Miss Friday, I'm not sure overall. And so going to be looking around about what I can play. Just try to make sure that my math isn't bad on the swings that are incoming. And so going to be throwing it around. I think in hindsight, I don't know if it would have mattered in the math overall, but I think what I should have done is not attach the Dawn to the Sanji, and I'll go ahead and play the I'm Invincible to restand my Uta, attach the rest of this Dawn, and swing 9k at lead. I got the 2k counter earlier, and now he's just going to block. He's going to be finally getting rid of that counter, and so the Sanji now is at 7,000 power because it's a 5,000 power base. I've got 3 Rested Dawn from the I'm Invincible, plus the 1 is 7 overall, and it's going to be taking a life right there, and I'm hoping that the kids can take me to the promised land. Going to be swinging at 9 right here. It's looking real grim at this point. And he's going to be saying, okay, what do I do at this point? Like, how much do I take in terms of life? I don't know Miko's hand exactly, so I don't know how much counter versus non-counter he has. Reminder that the big bodies that he has are a bunch of non-counter, and he does play a couple different events in this game. So it's going to be interesting. He is, I think, going to take the life he is, and it's going to potentially be a trigger. What is it going to be? It's going to be nothing as he puts it back in hand and swings 9 again, coming at the tail end. Do or die. Am I going to be able to get it? And he's going to rest 1. He's going to say no. He's going to Blast Breath and get 4,000 power overall. Blast Breath essentially doing it in for me at this point in the game, and then countering out with the Miss Valentine. So now add 10 Dawn. It's going to be up to Miko to just go ahead and swing for the fences at this point in this one. So all 10 Dawn again with all of these huge bodies. Going to start out by swinging 8 at the kid, and looking at it, I think this is my only counter card in hand, just that 2k Sanji that I got off leader effect. And so now he's going to be swinging 8, going to be taking the knockout right there. No counter off of that, and so 2 more 9k swings plus a leader. It's not looking good. Going to be swinging 10 at that kid. I say, yep, you got that guy. And so now with a free board, could just attach all rest of the 9 Dawn, but going to first be swinging 5 at the Sanji to just make sure, right, to clear board. Well, he can actually go for game at this point, but this is pretty darn tootin' going to be getting the game because he plays down another Croc, and he's going to be getting a life as well. So once again, we're back at 1 life, or the same life, 1 life each. But look at that board, and I'm hoping right now for another I'm Invincible because I've somehow survived in this game, but I do have 1 more I'm Invincible in hand, so I'm just going to be attaching all of the Dawn to me and just swinging, revealing the Brook. It is going to put him down, but it's going to be a Beige, and the Beige says no because I have the I'm Invincible in hand, but he had the Okama way, so like the Beige didn't matter. It was definitely salt to the wound, but the Okama way is really what would have done it for me on that one, because the Okama way would have redirect the I'm Invincible to another one. I would have had to have another I'm Invincible in hand to be able to get out of that, assuming that he didn't have another Okama way. So the Crocodile wins that one. That was absolutely crazy. I loved this game. It was so, I don't know if you could tell like how animated I was in the game, but I just had so much fun enjoying that game, and man, it was awesome. Thank you again to Miko for letting me play. But before we go, let's go over the deck lists. So let's talk about the lists real quick. First, we're going to start off with the Uta list because it is the deck that lost in my original idea for this video. So this is somewhat of a standard Uta list that you would probably see in EB01, plus these 2 promo cards. I only have 2 promo cards in right now. I feel like with the addition of promos and them being legal, it does make the deck better, but I don't know if you include a ton of them, right? I didn't really feel good like cutting any of the Usopps or the Zoros or anything like that. I think probably what I would cut first is like a backlight over anything in there. So I've got 2 of them right here. Fleeting Lullaby. I didn't get to showcase it, but if your leader is Uta, choose up to 2 of your opponent's rested 4-cost or lower characters. Cannot be sent as active during your opponent's next refresh phase. My thinking of this card is you think of some of the better decks in the format, like Sakazuki. You've got like Echo Moria. Still trying to condition myself to get that right. And then also like Red Purple Law, like all of those decks play a lot of 4-cost or less characters, right? Especially, you know, through their various effects and cards. So I think that this card does have some sort of value in the game. And if not, maybe you're facing like the Croc deck like we did. This card can be discarded off of the Uta effect. So overall, like, it might not come up a ton in a ton of matchups, but I think the ones that it does, it can be really beneficial overall. And maybe that's just, you know, like, maybe it's a fallacy in my head thinking that. But anyways, going into the other promo, Where the Wind Blows, I'm just convinced that this card is just really, really good and needs to be played in something like Uta. If your leader is Uta at the end of your turn, set all of your film type characters as active. The only non-film characters that we're running is the kid. So in my mind, having all of these characters that can swing, it makes sense to play a card like this to be able to bring them up, especially if you're in a game where you can play several Monkey D. Luffys, even 2 really at that point, because you can swing with them and then bring them up as active at the end of the turn. So I think that these 2 cards, again, are just really, really good inclusions. And then also with that trigger, set all of your film type characters active. I did have a game that I recorded off camera against a Red Purple Law. I just didn't have my camera equipment with me. I was playing against a friend at League. I ended up playing the trigger for Where the Wind Blows, and it actually like helped me win the game because I was able to sustain board and force my opponent to swing at life instead of my characters completely pivot from the game plan that they were going. So overall, I think that this card is just pretty valuable. Like, this card is more valuable out of the 2 in my opinion, and I think it's definitely an inclusion, but I don't think you include like any. I think 2 would be the max, and I would struggle trying to figure out how I would want to, because backlight is pretty valuable. I know I said that I would potentially cut it a little bit to like 1 maybe, but backlight is valuable. We didn't see it in that game, but resting opponents cost 5 or lower characters is really, really good at the end game when they have, you know, blockers on the field, right? You think of all the blockers that are in format like Borsellino, the Brulés, I already said Borsellino, Sabo, right? There are very few blockers that are more than 5 in the format that wouldn't be affected by a backlight. So I'm really thinking about where I want to be in terms of these promos and where to include them, because it's honestly, it's kind of a tight deck list. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is like either going down on backlights or maybe going down on kids. And I don't know if I want to go down on kid because it is so strong and so influential in a lot of matchups and a lot of situations that, like, I don't know if it would be an idea that I would do, but that's why, you know, we test and we try things out. But let's get into the Croc. So now going into the purple yellow Croc, this is the list essentially that we played with in this one. Again, I think Miss Wednesday, I truly think, especially, you know, whether you're going first or second, I think you got a mulligan for it. Just being so strong, especially if you're not facing like a Sakazuki or, I mean, honestly, like Red Purple Law can bottom deck this pretty easily too. So I think definitely in the shenanigan, quote unquote shenanigans, you know, you're not facing Law, Gecko, or Sakazuki. This might be a good card to like try to mulligan for and try to get over all. The Bon Clay also really, really good. Just ramping the Dawn and then copying base power. Just really, really effective in the game. The Croc's really, really good. you know, a lot of these cards just really, really good. We didn't even get to see 200 millivolts of Maru in that game, Rest One of My Bodies, but as a super strong card, as many of you know, there are some switches that you can do in this game. One of the things that Miko was saying, the person playing Purple Yellow Croc was saying after the game, is that he didn't really feel like a lot of value in the Miss All Sunday. You know, you may remember in the game where he just put it down to draw the card, not really ramp, and instead like just played over it later. So didn't even get to showcase like that body. He still thinks that it could be really good, right? You'll still be able to get the Dawn back through, you know, Dawn minusing 2 and then playing that card to get a rested Dawn if you have 6 or more Dawn, and then also one more through the leader effect, so it's effectively playing it for free at certain points in the game. There's cards that you could replace this Miss All Sunday with Shirahoshi, especially because Shirahoshi is our like new tournament participation pack going on right now in the West. You can easily put these in if you do not have Miss All Sundays, but they're not expensive if you don't have them already. But Shirahoshi, for the same amount of Dawn and a trigger as well to just play the card, you can keep the Dawn and not have to mess with the Dawn, but draw 3 cards, even though you do have to trash 2. I feel like a lot of times with this deck, you kind of have a decent enough sized hand where you can filter well enough to be able to do exactly what you want to do. Another card that you can play in this as well is Reject. This is one of the cards that are getting banned soon, so I mean, just because of the fact that it's getting banned, it is an insanely strong card, right? So that's one of the things that you can play. Maybe instead of like 200 million volts Maru, potentially you could do that, or maybe the Blast Breaths, you can do something like that. The Blast Breath is cheeky and really nice, especially because you're usually always getting one Dawn bag through these different effects of the Miss Wednesday and the Crocodile to be able to utilize, but it's not a requirement. So being able to play Reject and being able to KO a character or do that final damage of life could be really, really strong. Just a really crazy deck list overall. Again, thank you to Miko for allowing me to play with him on the channel and record these games. We had no idea, again, like I said earlier, we had no idea about how the matchup was going to go, barely anything about the deck. He played like 1 or 2 games with this deck before we played on the camera, just trying to figure it out, and it ended up going well for him because I think he played it pretty well. I mean, Miko's a good player, but anyways, thank you so much for watching it. These will be in links in the description below, so then you can easily put them on the sim or anything like that if you want either of these decks. We'll have more games in the future. Miko and I are already talking about, you know, potentially doing more games, so it'll be a lot of fun, and then also, you know, games with other people as well. I apologize that there was no Japanese tournament stream the other week. They didn't stream the Spring 3v3, and I haven't seen any decks on them overall, so I couldn't get you any content on that. So we're trying to do some future format in some other ways, so hopefully you enjoyed it. Hope to see you again in the next video, and yeah, this deck's insane. I wish I could play this deck. I just don't own any of the like big mom, big body decks. I own all the other cards except freaking these. Well, I guess in these because they haven't released yet, but the gosh, it was a really fun deck to play and watch. Well, I mean, I didn't play it. Miko did, but I watched it.